So if you want to apply for the bachelor in Zwolle, the main thing I think is that you show potential both musically and technically. And I think that can be the display of technique and musicality can be displayed in almost any piece. It just depends on how you play it. Yes, so I can give people a list with Galactic preludes or with etudes or with capricces or whatever, and they will be able to play it or say, yeah, I played that piece which was on the list, but that doesn't necessarily mean how good it is.
It was really played.
Yes, so they can play. I think you can play a more easy piece, like you could say, okay, yeah, do a Galactic prelude. Of course, that's fine, and then in order to bring that to the table, you need to be a good player, but it still can sound awful, of course. But if you play, I don't know, from the same composer, Raffaele, if you play the rondo, which is much easier, some music school students also play this piece, but you can also play this with a lot of fire, conviction and precision, velocity, technique, musical story that shows a lot of promise. So I think that's more important. Not do all the hard chords and all the double stops and that kind of thing, but have the piece be something that you can exploit technically and musically. And of course, some pieces are better than others for that. So something like a Galactic prelude has so many different things in it. That's what makes it a suitable piece. But you can also use the Shoriadita by Carlo Munier. These are much shorter exercise-based pieces that also display duo style, tremolo, staccato, or arpeggios, or that kind of thing. And I think that's the most important thing. You want to see good tone. I spend a lot of time teaching about tone and tone quality, keeping the fingers down at the right time and not having a lot of singled out notes, but long lines with good tone quality, precision, and from there on the musical story, which of course needs a lot of technique in order to pull it off.
Do you feel that there is a fashion of becoming a mandolinist? Are there more and more people wanting to study mandolin?
I think it depends. I think like the little kids, they are like a page unwritten. So they're just like you can feed them whatever. So they're not prejudged by musical styles when they're young. So they just listen to music and see if the music appeals to them. So you can say, the young kids only like pieces with a pop beat in it or drums in it. But really young kids can have just as much fun with a piece like the Wilhelm Tell Overture that also has this groove in it, and for them they feel more the vibe of the piece than necessarily that they're saying, oh, that's that style, I'm not from that style, or I only want to do it like this or that. And I think with instruments it's the same.
And do you foster the mandolin somehow, let's say in the little schools also?
Yes.
So that they are enthusiastic. That
we
they
need
want
a program. In the Netherlands, we need a program for this. So I know from my German colleagues that there are many societies, the Verein, that have this teacher who also teaches at the music school, or has this jedem Kind ein Instrument, instrument for every kid, primary school projects, and that kind of brings the mandolin out there. And I think the people that if you show them the mandolin, people will choose it. Not all, it's not a mass instrument like a flute or a violin or a piano, but I think there will be enough that will choose it if it's being offered. But you have to bring it to the kids. So usually I used to think, where are all the players? But now I think we don't need more players, we need more teachers.
Really?
Yes, we don't need more players. It's like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
You say, well, if you can say, I want more eggs,
Yeah.
but we need more chickens then. Yeah. So what comes first?
Yeah.
And I think if you have a teacher that's willing and joins in this program, whether it's this primary school program or whether it's a teacher that teaches at an orchestra and brings the level of the already adult players up or the youth orchestra up, and from there on presents the instrument to the primary schools, that's when you generate new students.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and therefore we need more
teachers,
and not more players. You know, you can have a big banner and we want mandolin players.
Yeah.
So who's gonna respond to that?
Yeah.
If they don't know the instrument, if they don't have the instrument, and if they don't know anyone who plays it. So I think the whole mentality should be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes? If you ask mandolin players now, if you put an ad in the newspaper, then you're already fishing in the pond that is already empty, because these are all like old people or retired people, but also middle-aged people who already play in an orchestra, who already know the instrument. But you need to have teachers who can kind of sell the instrument to the younger crowds. And I am definitely convinced that if you have these kids who are just like a blank page, open-minded, don't really think in styles or popular instruments or that kind of thing, then I think you have a really good shot at getting new players. But we need teachers. Yeah, I think in Italy they are already doing that for some time, because there are more and more conservatories that are becoming known in Italy that have the mandolin in it. And when I studied there myself, there was already a lot of students there, and I still see all these students active on Instagram, Facebook, etc., and having their youth orchestras, having their youth programs, and doing these things. So, and of course it will not be an instant fix, but if you have a lot of kids that play the mandolin, chances are that from that base, if you have like a pyramid, if you have a broad foundation, then the point will also be higher. So there will be more new players, and I think that's in Italy is already happening.
This is interesting, because I thought in Italy it's more or less dying out.
No, I don't think so. No. When you look at the younger generations now, there are a lot of players who also go to all these competitions, and you have these Federico Medaluno, you have Raffaele Esposito, you have and already a bit older older generation like Raffaele Ragione. These are not people that are super old yet, and they are the new rising stars there, and I can name a lot of others too. But they are active. They're really good players. They are doing interesting projects and forming groups, forming quartets. And I think there's a lot of good stuff going on there. But it started with a lot of conservatory opening up, and also with when at the time I was studying with Ugo Orlandi, and he just kept taking new students and producing a lot of teachers. So he was producing teachers and players, of course, and at a high level, and not just international stars who just came there and learned from him, but also Italian people who had their own orchestra in their village or their town, and studied the mandolin to bring it further from there.
And he also published a book, The Golden Age of the Mandolin.
Yes. Yes, and I think he made a rerun on that book also because he has done many publications.
Well, do you see any movement in France?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to be the judge of that. I think they are, by being there, and I'm talking about, if you talk about Julien Martineau, but also Vincent Bier-Demander, I think they are really doing a lot of work there on the mandolin in many different ways, but different ways. Vincent has these projects for little kids, but he also has this project with getting nowadays contemporary composers to write new music, and he does things with the orchestra. He has this festival in Marseille, which he's doing. So he's working on, I think, and he, of course he plays a lot of concerts himself. So I think he's working on many different levels to get the mandolin out there. What I see on the internet, on Facebook, etc., he's more of the concert mandolinist. Whereas Vincent is much more widespread. And Anna is, I know that she's a friend of mine. I studied with her when I was in Italy. And she's doing a lot on the Mandolino.
Yeah.
Yes, and which is, I think, is really important. She made some really great recordings with the Scarlatti and with Roberto Valentini. And the way she handles this, and she plays that instrument, I think is important because she has this historically correct approach to it, and I think that's also very important. You know, if you have the like the Scarlatti sonatas or the Valentini or whatever piece you're playing, and you try to be close to how it was historically and originally meant, then that also brings something, because there are many recordings of Scarlatti, but you can record it again on a modern mandolin or with the piano or with the clavicembalo, or a weird combination, a modern mandolin with the clavicembalo. But to do it with a basso continuo and with the old mandolino that it was meant for, I think that's important because that sets a new standard. That was already there, but sometimes it gets overshadowed by other people playing it. So I think that's at the moment that's an important role that she plays.
We were speaking about Europe and development in Europe. Are you observing something important, let's say in Sweden or in Great Britain, Scotland or Croatia?
I think in Croatia, Ivana Kenk, so she, I think 2 years ago, she started teaching at the Conservatorium of Split, which is of course also good. She studied in Italy also, but she went back to her hometown, and now she's broadening her mandolin network there. So that's really good. And that's just a couple of years ago, I guess. So that will need some time in order to produce. I think Germany is still going well. They have a lot of international students. I'm not sure how that is. It's always better to ask these questions from the insiders, you know. From the outside, you can say, "Oh yeah, I see a lot of German players or a lot of this."
Yeah, but this is interesting how you see the world from here.
Yeah. In my point of view, Germany is doing well also, but I think they should be careful about. So I'm not sure how this works in general, but in Germany, what I always envied also was this big society culture, like the Vereinkultur. Yeah? So that they really have a lot of mandolin Verein, and that a lot of connections were there between the players, the good players, the really good players, the conservatory teachers, and all these different societies. And I think they should really keep the connection. Yeah. Yes, and you can sit on at the conservatory and wait for the students to come, but I also think that you should keep the connection. Otherwise you will get students, but it will end somewhere.
And what do you think about ciphered mandolins?
That's an interesting question. I think what I like about a mandolin doesn't always come out of a ciphered mandolin, but that also has to do with the plectrum and the strings. Yes. So so if you have a big group of players, an amateur orchestra, you're looking for ways to have a good general sound. And if you play like if you play big tremolo pieces, or you want just to have this general sound, then you can opt for some let's say some shortcuts, or make things easier on the players by having the strings not to squeak. I think that's why they came up with the domestique in the first place, and because the older mandolin strings used to have a big problem with the open A. So the A was very hard to tune, and they didn't want the squeaking sound. Yeah, like the if you so if you and if you have the big amateur group that has this squeaking sounds and not a good A string, of course you're gonna look for alternatives. And I think in the German tradition they've always looked for this kind of more warm sound to it, but I think by looking for an escape from the squeaky strings and from the hard to tune A string, and looking for this warm tone, they have also disconnected from a lot of overtones. If you have the soundscape of the mandolin and you have the use of that type of plectrum and the strings, I don't think it's necessarily warmer. It just you try and eliminate the attack, but that still is something that is a technical problem. But if you filter out all the high-end tones, that doesn't necessarily make the instrument warmer. It just makes the sound poorer. It's also the art of keep researching, you know, and just because if you ask people now, what do you put on your mandolin? And they say, yes, I do GDA, I do domestique, and for the E string I use Hannebach red. And then you say, why?
Yeah, why?
They don't know. Most players. And of course, some they do it because that's how it was done. But that's not how I was raised, you know. I'm a bit of an audiophile, like I really like to tweak my sound, and I still am searching for with different strings or different plectrums to see what I like best, different materials, and I think that's something you have to just keep questioning. And of course, if you're an amateur and your teacher says, hey, this is good, why don't you do this? Of course, you're gonna do that, it's fine. But as soon as your level increases, I think you have to be, you have to think more and use your ears more. And it's with something simple, is if you look at most of the plectrums, like the thicker plectrums, they are pretty thick, you know, like with the German plectrum, they're pretty thick, and they don't really have an edge to it. It's just, but if you, Alex and I, when we used German instruments, we used to sand the also the German plectrum. We used to sand the hell out of it, you know, to make a good point, to make it sharp, and to get even with that material to get the sound out of it. Yes, and the same thing goes for so if you make a better point, then you will get a different sound, a more precise sound, I think. And same thing with the strings. So you can also just call the factory and say, you know, I like these flat wound strings, but I don't know, can we have more overtones? Or maybe they will make a flat wound bronze string, or you know, if you don't ask, they will not do it. I spoke to this director of the Optima strings, and he says, yes, we are also making this domestic type of string, but he said that he even didn't really understand. He said then they have these really expensive instruments made, and then they put on strings without overtones, strings that you would normally use for a jazz guitar.
Yeah.
So, and he's a string maker, so he, you know, if I tell him, yeah, now make it in gold or silver or nickel,
they will do it.
They will just do it as long as they know that they can produce, you know, quantity. They can mass produce. So, I think you should keep searching. So that's interesting. And once I had Alfred Wol was experimenting on Neapolitan and Roman sound aspects in a German mandolin, and then he a good concept, and then he had this model, a Rome model, and then he said, can I send it to you, and can you do a review on it? And it was you know, Alfred is great with wood, so it's just really craftsmanship. It just looks good, you know. It's really well made, and you have to, if you're an Italian mandolin fan, then you have to just look over the model. And he strung it with the Lenzner strings, or the Visoma strings, with the bronze wound, and then I could play with whatever plectrum, and then, you know, the real dialogue starts and the argument starts. So if you ask me what do you think of a ciphered mandolin, then the honest question is that I don't really know, because I would like to have one and string it with my setup and see what happens. Yes, because if you put certain strings on a certain mandolin, it will sound in a certain way, and for some it works and for some it doesn't. It's also a matter of taste. So, you know, it doesn't really matter what I think of. There was this builder who said, yeah, no, I would love to make also copies of Galatia mandolins, or I would love to make other types of mandolins, but the people keep asking me this. And he has to make money also, which
of course
I understand. But I think it's a bit also about daring. So what Alfred did by making this Roma model, I think that was a good idea. So you make this and people buy it, so nice. But I think the builder is also an artist. Yes, so you can only build on demand, but you can also think, okay, I want to build a great mandolin. What do I, as a builder, think of a great mandolin? What aspects does it need?
Now we come directly to your mandolins.
Also, yes. But
you have chosen Emberger.
Yes. So this is my 1938.
This is with a dragon.
Yes, it's a number 7. So they usually have either a dragon or a more elaborate ornament. And these are even all strings. So that's...
which strings do you?
No, old.
Old?
Yeah.
Original?
No, not like that, but I mean, when you have strings that are super new, then they have this kind of metally sound to it, but as they grow a bit older, they kind of get a bit floppy. So these strings are relatively old, but still the mandolin produces a lot of warmth and overtones. Yes. So this has been a kind of a journey. So of course now with our orchestra and with Alex, I'm known to be a Roman mandolin player. So either with the Embergers or with the copies by Lorenzo Rippi. But this is not something that we were born into. For what do I search in a mandolin? What is generally appreciated, but also what do you like? And as I said, I really like thinking about sound. And I'm a musician first and a mandolinist second. So if you think in my opinion, if you think of as a musician, you want to hear something in your mind and you want to have this sound, and then you have to find the right mandolin for it. And that has been a search. So when I started as a little kid, I had this Suzuki mandolin, which was a ball back, and of course it's sort of a garage copy. And even then we were trying different strings. So at first I played with, I think it was gully strings or something. And of course we had this problem that the A string was just plain and would detune. I was, especially when I hit puberty, I was a sweaty kid. So these strings, they would rest and I would just, if I played a lot, I would just destroy my strings in 1 or 2 weeks. So we had to kind of, figure out different things. So we also used tomastics, we used turtle shell plectrums, we used the German plectrums, we used plastic plectrums. It was just, everything was allowed. We're just doing research while we were at it. At a certain point, at that time, the concert, the orchestra where we played in, that was an orchestra that played on Albert and Müller instruments. So were the A-type, like the Martin A style A-type mandolin. So it was like a little like a water drop, flat back mandolin. So they were this thick, and a lot of Dutch orchestras played on these at that time. Yes, with the flat back Martin A model, but then made by Albert and Müller. Well, so this is a newer instrument. This is from 2019.
Yeah.
So it's much newer. Also, the strings are kind of newer. So this instrument is it has great overtones, but the general sound is also very loud, without a lot of effort. It's just there. And since it's a newer instrument, now it's already 5 years old, but it's gonna mature and will grow warmer over time. But it has a really so if I play this chord like this, it has a really long sustain.
Yeah.
It's still ringing, and even longer. So, but it's a new instrument. I'm very fond of it, but it has a kind of different character from it. It's a little bit, of course, you can never 100% compare. Yes, it's the same strings, but these strings are much newer. Yeah, so if I play the same piece. So it's a different sound, but you can still hear all the Roman aspects.
It has a lot of projection.
Yes, it really projects very well.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's very nice, and it's also the instruments that we build today are gonna be also the instruments for the next generation. Yes, I mean you can say I own this and I own that, but I think everything you own is on its way to someone else, because the instruments should survive us. Yeah. So it's nice that I have this mandolin, but and if we don't have builders make new stuff, then they can only play the old stuff. But I don't, and of course with this old mandolin from 1937, I love playing it, but I don't want to play it all the time, because then I will just wear it off, you know. So, but I still like the decoration, and no one sees it, so the decorations are for me, and the front is just for the audience, and it's just,
Now, your biography.
My biography.
As a musician.
Yeah. So I started playing the mandolin when I was 8, and I did this discovery course on a music school where you were just playing with the glockenspiel, with the metallophone, and we had this very general music thing. So we sang songs, we learned a little bit about note reading, and that was a 2-year course. And in the second year, there was this carousel of different instruments, so you could play whatever instrument you wanted to try it out. And I tried out several instruments, but you could opt for what you wanted to try. And at the time, my father had this Commodore 64, really old computer, and you attached it to a keyboard, because my father also played a little piano, but he was more into jazz and boogie woogie thing. But there was this demo button on this keyboard, and there was a bluegrass sound coming out of it. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, I like this nice yee-haw sound to it. Yeah. So and I was 8 years old, and then I could fill in. I want to play. I think I filled in banjo actually, but there was no banjo. So they filled me in with mandolin for Alex, and then I really liked the instrument, and I had a good connection with Alex, and I started at 8 years old.
Alex was your teacher?
Yes.
Your mandolin teacher?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Alex is like, I've known him forever. Yeah, that's really cool. And there I just started doing the mandolin, and by the time I was, I think, 11 or 10, I really had a good feeling about becoming also a teacher, but a primary school teacher. It was something that I really liked. And then I started doing the middle school, and my music teacher at the middle school, but also Alex, they said, if you want to do something with education and with music, because they both recognized my talent at a young age, they said, why don't you combine it and do the music teacher's education? So then, bit by bit, things were starting to come together. And so by the time that I was done with my middle school or high school or whatever you call it, you would say gymnasium, abitur, whatever. And I decided to do the teacher's education with my mandolin. And Alex grew with me here, because they didn't have a mandolin teacher here. So Alex became my teacher also here at the Conservatorium as a side subject, because my main subject was the teacher's education. And by the time I was in the 3rd year of this education, I was doing so much on the mandolin already that they said, why don't you also do the bachelor mandolin? And then I already had done so much work on the mandolin that I could do my bachelor in 1 year. So I could just, some subjects I didn't need to do twice, and other things I was already advanced in, so I could do that in 1 year. And then I was a mandolin main subject student. And then I could choose to do my master, which I also did. That was another 2 years, and then I wanted to, also see more of the world. So then I decided to go and study at that time in Padua with Ugo Orlandi. And there I studied for, I think, 9 months or something. Yes, at the Conservatorium there, and that's also where I met Anna Skibzapa, but also Ivana, and then I played in the Orchestra Città di Brescia, and I played in the Orchestra di Breganze. So, and my piano teacher there she was the conductor of the Orchestra of Breganze. So it was really, there were all these things to do there. So it was really nice time. And then I came back. That was 2005, and then here I graduated for my master's. With the specialization that I did in Italy. And then, I did all kinds of things. As I said, I was a music teacher at the middle school, but I also taught music in a music school. I taught mandolin in a music school, different projects, an orchestra in the city of Kampen, which is near Zwolle. And so concerts, summer courses, all kinds of things, and concerts, and here and there, and master classes. So really a lot of different stuff to do. I think I like all the things in a balance. Yeah. So I would never just want to be a concert musician and only play. Yeah. I also like working with the little kids, and also doing general music on my middle school with,
this is real life.
Yes, to stay connected, with what's happening around you. So that's a little bit of my biography.